Hello traders, welcome back to my channel. This is Dynamic FX. Before we proceed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Well, it's been an interesting turn of events. As I don't know if you watched my last video. Here we like to look at the transactions of institutions in the market and how uh, their activities affect price. So before we continue, if you have not seen my video on introduction to COT analysis, COT that stands for Commitment of Traders, um, Commitment of Traders report, which is issued by the CFTC, uh, the Commission Futures and Trading Commission. What did I just say? Oh, Commodities Futures and Trading Commission, where all the activities of big institutions are reported on a weekly basis. Okay, and what I've done is to put it in a much more readable format, and you can make trade decisions on it. So there are other resources I believe I mentioned in my other video, and there are other people also talking about few people really look at this report. So not to waste too much of your time, I noticed that on the average, I think people just watch this for like first 4 minutes thereabouts. But I will still go ahead and touch the major assets, cryptocurrencies, and forex and stock markets and commodities, so that we can get a feel of how the market dynamic for the week will be. So straight away, we're looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin will be the first report to look at by the asset managers, right? I have different reports that I look at. I have reports for leverage fund, asset managers, retail traders. I also have the legacy report, but the one I really like to look at is the report from the asset managers. Okay, so looking at Bitcoin, okay, and I can't always continue to overemphasize. Yes, this is the middle line, is zero line. So like I said, anything above this positive line here, it means positive sentiment, and anything below here means a negative sentiment. The line you're seeing here represent the price of Bitcoin. Okay, so as of last week, we already noticed some sort of mass liquidation, like I said, in the markets, and you can see the trend here. So the bars represent what we call net positions. If you have not seen that video, so you want to understand what I mean by net position. So the net position is just trying to see the balance between long contracts and short contracts. Long contracts to buy the assets, and short contracts more to sell the contracts, right? To sell the assets, right? So when we have a positive number, that's when you get to see the histogram bar above the zero line. And when we have a negative number, you see the histogram line below. So you can see for Bitcoin, huge liquidation, like I said, from the assets. So I don't know if this is still tied to the news of the probe on either Coinbase or Binance, okay, by the IRS. We'll watch out and see how that plays out. I was able to profit from this move by trading futures, so to the downside. So if you look at now, this is really what is going on. This is a total bloodbath. And I like to tell most traders, see, if you don't really understand the people moving the price, right? You just continue to play to the gallery. And I've been in so many group chats where people keep asking you to buy dips, okay? And the problem with doing that is you don't know where the bottom of the pit is. So just imagine this huge fall, as we predicted this last week. and we're able to profit from it last week also. So you might be asking, okay, where next? Well, you've already seen the handwriting on the wall. They're really just pulling out their funds. This is very extreme levels. So I don't think it's a good idea to buy this asset now unless you're going to carry out what we call an hedging strategy, right? Because even if you look at the charts, even on Binance, this is a major bearish market. All right. So let's still we'll keep holding on to see how this plays out. Okay. All right. So that's that for Bitcoin. It's very much bearish. The Australian dollar last week, we still noticed. Yes, last week was really very funny. We saw a flip in sentiment, really very aggressive. Okay, for a short while, and before you know it, the market flips back immediately. So the Australian dollar too looked as if it wanted to start. It was going to start a downward or a bearish move. Let's see that on the charts. See, yep. Okay, that's AUD USD. Okay, activate that. Yes, last week it looked as if there was some sort of fake out in the market. So, yes, but I know the Australian dollar is due for a correction and has been stalling. But I already showed you why. That's because we still have this range bound transactions going on here. Okay, we still have range bound transaction just going on here. Not too much contracts just coming in. So the recent contract was here. You can still see it's still coming in to buy, and we're still stuck in that range. So for the meantime, I believe there's still a lot of upside move or upside potential for the Australian dollar. Okay, so of course still seeing this price here. So the uptrend is still very much valid for the price of the Australian dollar. All right, unless we see a very significant shift in risk on sentiment. Another currency you should watch out for, still very bullish, would be the Canadian dollar. Huge amount of contracts coming in, very huge, extremely almost very extreme. Well, let me just say it's extreme. Okay, see what I'm saying here. I think the highest we've had so far, if you breach this level here in terms of this last contract that came in here, this is very huge contracts. Okay, so the Canadian dollar, obviously, remember, like I said, this is an inverse quotation, right? So this is the Canadian dollar, US dollar. All right, on your MT4, what you would have is the USD card, right? So all this is just saying is that the Canadian dollar will more likely strengthen than the US dollar. Okay, so which this is the price of the Canadian dollar USD. Yeah, so the move on the Canadian dollar is still very much strong, and that's because you have very strong sentiments that may most likely support the Canadian dollar. So looking at the charts, I still look at that. So USD card, we still have a lot of downward potential for this. So looking at the weekly time frame, monthly, yes, a lot of downside move here, very strong. Okay, now I should take this out. Delete this window. Very strong downward move. All right. I believe yes, the move was missed from here, but it's still something you can still join if, especially when we break this low level here. I, I have a lot of downside potential here. All right, so that is for the Canadian dollar. So technically, it's very much bearish also. So the way you could play this, maybe wait for a pullback. We're not seeing any divergence yet. So this move may most likely continue down for the USD Canadian dollar or USD CAD. All right, that is that. We'll move on to the next asset of the day. Look at the British pound. Like I said last week, this is still very much bullish sentiment, right? But still bound, it was still bound in the range. We've not seen. It's still maybe still finding its direction. Okay, look at the range of transactions that have come in. All right, it's just stuck in a range here. So if we take this, so just within normal activities, so the British pound is still pretty much strong, but moderately in terms of sentiment. Okay, moderately. So there's still a lot of potential for GBP USD. Given this contract is still also read by something similar to what we're seeing in the Australian dollar market. All right. So, like I said, not until you start to see transactions break below the minus 20,000 range, right? Before you would confirm maybe a downtrend or a bearish sentiment that started. All right. So watch out for that. And I'll give you updates as that continues. Okay. So let's move on to the Japanese yen. Like I said, I was not too comfortable with the amount of contracts coming in for the Japanese yen. It's still pretty much bullish, but still on the very moderate level here. Just not that much compared to where we're coming from, having this very huge uh, drop in sentiment, although back to the normal range. So we're not really seeing any spike in demand for the Japanese yen. Okay, but it's still, like I said, still strong, still very strong, and we can still expect it to hold tight against the uh, US dollar. So just a quick reminder, this is the Japanese yen against the US dollar. So it's inversed, okay? So it's inversed, so meaning that you still may have a little bit of strength on the Japanese yen than than the US dollar. So let's maybe look at the charts, see where that would be. I do this at least once a week, just to get a feel of where the market is going to be. So this was part of what I was worried about. But looking at this move, we could, of course, maybe begin to see some potential here. We've had this move down or up. It's possible if more contracts can come in there, we could see it push lower. Yeah, that's if we get more contract to support the Japanese yen. All right. Yes. Next would be the euro. Euro, like I said, it's not a currency you want to be going against. So the contracts are still pretty much stacked up already. So um, euro is still pretty much bullish. So I wouldn't even go against the euro. So more likely just buy euro against any other currency, and I think it should be fine. The same scenario, Mexican peso, New Zealand dollar also still holding much pretty strong. So invariably, we are still in a moderately risk on environment, looking at the market sentiments and the position here. So you still see the Australian dollar strength, the New Zealand dollar strength. Okay. The Swiss franc, more of some sort of recovery is going on here. Yes, let's look at the Swiss franc. You can see very strong recovery here. So the for this chart, like I said, this is CHF USD is inversed. CHF USD which is inverse, and you can see, yes, though even though we're in a negative territory, it's kind of recovering. It's recovering, so maybe moving towards the bullish sentiment, but it's still pretty much bearish since we're still below the zero line here. Okay, so we still, yes, it's still most likely be stronger than US dollar, but not as much. It's one of the safe haven assets, so the sentiment there is really not that strong. So we just to support the fact that we're still more in most likely looking at these dynamics still shows a strong optimism in markets. Definitely maybe around some news events that would support this notion, but obviously the market would seem to be very cautious uh, right now, looking at the way the positions are. So the Swiss franc is still bullish. Um, just a second. Pause this. Pause the record. All right. Okay, so move on to the next. Like I said, Mexican peso is also still bullish. The New Zealand dollar bullish. Let's take a deep dive into that, but it still seems to me may have maxed out. And obviously here, as we just look at this zone of transaction here, we're seeing the sentiment declining. Okay, we've not seen new highs here yet. So these are the recent transactions here. But it's still increasing, but not as much. So that's that for the New Zealand dollar. So still bullish, but be careful. We may have started approaching the peak in market sentiment for that asset. Okay, next we have so next we have the US dollar. Okay, the South African rand is still moderately bullish, so still continuous dollar weakness across board. So I think that we're getting that confirmation now. So see, okay, price is already reacting very fast to a much more weaker dollar, and you can see here really weak sentiments really for the US dollar. So that's obviously sends a very negative signal. If we enter this negative zone again, then we don't expect the dollar to strengthen anytime soon. So if we try to put all this together, in summary, we expect a weaker dollar across board. Canadian dollar is still taking the front seat. The British pound also. Euro is also getting in favor of the market in terms of sentiment. The Japanese yen, not that much. Swiss franc is still barely recovering. New Zealand dollars holding on tight. We could see the Australian dollar too within that range. So still showing a very optimistic market even after the fears of CPI numbers in terms of inflation. Okay, Mexican peso still a very more good sentiment, but a very negative sentiment for the Bitcoin market. All right, so you definitely want to be taking sides of currencies that are strong, taking positions maybe in the Australian dollar, British pound, euro, Canadian dollar. Obviously, is a very good bet against other currencies. Okay, so maybe just quickly, let me take a look at the trend table and just we'll call it a day. So, however, I would, if you have any questions, if you have questions you'd like to ask me, please, you can leave a comment below and let me know how this video has been helping you. If there's anything you want me to talk about, please leave that at the comment section below. And please don't still forget to subscribe. I notice most of the people that watch my video really don't subscribe. So help a brother out, subscribe. Okay, so sentiment for gold. Oh yes. Okay, sentiment for gold still looks basically as if it's still recovering. We're seeing prices of since then, price of gold seems to have rallied, and I'm sure it's still benefiting from just a weaker dollar. All right, because although yes, a lot of the contracts still lie. Let's see where that market is, and so still very much bullish. Let's see commodities. Okay, I said I was going to update this. Okay. Oh wow, good. We've started seeing some recovery back into that market. So let's pop this up. Okay, good. Slightly bullish sentiments now coming into the market. Very interesting to see. So and look at that, just that small volume. Look at how price started rallying. All right. So yeah, let me point that out. Okay, this was the contract that came in, and boom, price was already on its way. All right, very good, good stuff. Silver, similar scenario. Let's see what do I have here. Let's take this up. Take that out. What asset was here? Okay, I don't have any asset here. Indices. Let's see what today. I've not been able to update this. Okay, VIX is pretty much looking as if it's recovering. All right, the VIX here. Something I wanted to keep an eye on, right? But we started seeing the reduction in that bearish tone for the VIX here. See that, so that's some sort of recovery. So that is slowing down. And last week we saw a slight spike in the VIX market, right? Which is the fear indicator. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. I don't really know. Let me quickly see if I can sort this out since I said I was going to sort that the last time. Really. Okay, see that's okay. Just a second. Let me pause this. Okay, yes. Sorry, I needed to quickly update the information here. So okay, so I've done that. So indices market is still pretty much still an trend. Looking at the net position of traders, uh, still have some positive contracts coming in for the S&P 500. So I feel it's still a risk on an optimistic market for the week ahead. So that is it. Like I said, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section below. I will get back to you. Then please still don't forget to hit the subscribe button so I get notified anytime I post a new video. Till next time, happy trading and trade safely.